Hello, and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are not getting the results you are looking for from your digital marketing efforts, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Hello, folks, and welcome to episode number 4 of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. I'm really enjoying providing you with this content, and I'm hoping that you're enjoying it as well. It's been a privilege to actually deliver this thing for you. It's been something that's been asked of me many times over the past few years, and you ask and you shall receive. So here it is. This is this podcast here for local businesses. So anyhow, without further ado, I wanted to continue on the series of giving you some tactical things that you can do in your marketing from a local business standpoint that can bring a lot of traffic to you. A lot of times people say, Frank, why is SEO so hard? Why is it so hard to rank? There's a couple of things as to why that is. A couple of factors in there. And one of those factors is that there's a lot of competition. Now, when I first started doing SEO, and I started doing SEO in 2007. It was a lot easier to rank. I'm not going to lie. It was a lot easier to rank. The algorithms were a lot easier to manipulate, for lack of a better term, than they are now. So it was easier to rank. I mean, you could pretty much put up a one-page website at that time, stuff it with a bunch of keywords, and you'll be ranking within a day or so. At the most, maybe a week, you'll start ranking, and maybe even on the first page, definitely the second page, and then shortly thereafter on the first page. So it was a lot easier back then. Now you can't rank first a one pager. It requires a lot more stuff. But the things that you can do with SEO, and the reason why SEO is so important, is that you want to have dominance. You want to have dominance in your field. You want to be the big kahuna, if you will, the go-to business. And the only way to do it is by practicing efficient SEO strategies. So, I mean, obviously, I can't give you all of that content today as to what the official, what the really, really, really good SEO strategies are. So I'm going to give it to you in bits and pieces throughout this podcast series that I'm doing. And one of the things that I want to do is talk to you about what you could do to drive traffic to your blog. So the title of this episode number 4, is 9 SEO strategies to use on every blog post before you publish. Okay, so that's just so you guys know. We're just talking specifically about your on-page optimization on your blog, not the other parts of the pages. At some other point, I will give you some strategies on how to do that for your page as well. But let's just talk about your blog page at this point. Okay, so I'm going to give you 9 strategies to use on every blog post before you publish. And if you use these strategies, you will start seeing some results in your SEO efforts, assuming that the topics are what your readers want to consume. And that's another topic of conversation later on that I can, maybe point you to. But for now, I just want to give you these 9 strategies. So let's get going here on the content. So the number one strategy that you have to make sure that you use on every blog post is you got to do the keyword research. Um, you got to know exactly what are the keywords that is low competition. What are the keywords that that's going to help you. That people are looking for in your audience. Um, so on and so forth. So I would always start off with long tail keywords. So instead, make it a 3 to 4 word keyword phrase. That's what's considered a long tail keyword, and start from there. Don't use just one keyword and that's it. So instead of using keywords, say keyword phrase. So you got to do some keyword phrase research, and I'll put a couple of tools down in the show notes. But there are a ton of these things that you can use that give you that little bit of an advantage. There's an SEO tool called SEO search, and I'll put that in the show notes so you can at least check it out and do it. So there's Uber Suggest. Uber Suggest is a great tool. Actually, I'll put the Uber Suggest down in there because that's even SEO search tool is a little complicated for you to use and manipulate, but Uber Suggest is an awesome tool. Another good tool to use for to getting some SEO keywords is a tool called Keywords Everywhere. Again, I'll give you the links on the thing. So that's a good way to start getting some keyword research done as to what are people searching for in your industry, so you can pop up on the first page. So you want to do that. The number 2 thing is you want to be intentional about the title of your post. And what I mean by it is you want to make sure that the title of your post is something that's not vague. It's something that kind of indicates what this blog post is about. For instance, I wrote a blog post about this, about this very same topic. And that blog post is called 9 SEO Strategies to Use Every Blog Post Before You Publish. And that's the same name of this podcast. So, and I'll give you a link to that blog post on the show notes. But you see, that's a very intentional title of the blog post. So I'm telling you 9 ways. So you're expecting to read 9 ways to do this. So that's what I mean by intentional. So the number 3 is incorporate useful headings. Useful headings is important. Like, for instance, a heading of, say, for each section is a good way of doing it. So if, like, for instance, if I wasn't talking about 9 ways, let's say I was just having a regular standard blog post, instead of having the number 9 things as my headings, I would have some sort of useful heading to let people know what the following content below that heading is. So be engaged. You have to engage, be funny, use your personality in there. Something that's going to actually help the person understand what that section of content that you're writing underneath is all about. The reason why headings are so important, folks, is because people are scrolling now. People don't read as much as they used to. They scroll rather than read. So if you have a useful heading that you want people to draw their eye on that heading, you want people to read that block content, maybe there's something in that content that forces them to read the whole thing because you caught them with the heading, but it all starts with incorporating a useful heading. So I hope that helps there. The number 4 thing is you want to incorporate keywords into your image text. So when you do your keyword research, don't look for just one keyword phrase. I always like to get at least 2 to 3 keyword phrases that are related per blog post that I write. And I want to strategically incorporate these keywords within my blog post, obviously. But another cool place to put it, as I'm saying, is number 4, is you want to incorporate those keywords into your image text. And WordPress shows a very, very, very good way of doing it. It's very simple. I mean, I like WordPress. I'm a huge advocate of WordPress. I understand a lot of people are using Squarespace now. I understand a lot of people are using other types of platforms like Wix. I mean, I personally do not like Wix for other reasons, and I'll probably do a podcast on that. But WordPress makes it super, super easy to incorporate these 9 things. So this is why I'm pointing you to WordPress, especially this piece right here where you want to incorporate the keyword in your image text. And if you have more than one image, you want to put one keyword per image inside the text. And maybe there will be maybe I could do a how-to video at some point and mention it on one of these blog posts, on one of these podcasts, excuse me. I can't even speak today. But that's what you want to do on number 4. Number 5, you want to incorporate the keyword in your URL. You want to make sure that like I said, you want to get 3 to 4 keywords, right? Or 2 to 3. You can say 2 to 3 keywords per blog post. Incorporate the main keyword within your URL. So that people, the reason why you want to do this is because the search engines want to, it's easier to pick it up. And then once you see your descriptions and all of that other stuff, it correlates that with the heading, it correlates that with the title of the blog, and it correlates that with all of the alt tags and all that stuff that you have within your blog, assuming that you're doing everything correctly. And you get picked up a lot quicker than you would if you didn't have that stuff. So you want to incorporate the keyword in your URL. The number 6 way you can do this is you want to have a focus on article length. Now, you don't want to have short blogs if you want to get picked up and stick. So you want to have a stick factor, meaning a lot of times when you have a short blog, yeah, you may get picked up, but the problem is if there's someone else with an article that has that same focus keyword that you're focusing on, that is longer in text, and people are sticking on their page longer than they are on your page, what's going to happen is that the search engines are going to take that as, oh, he must be more relevant than you, because they're sticking longer, and eventually your page will then just drop off the face of the earth and disappear. So let's focus on an article length. So good rule of thumb is, I always tell people, and this depends on your industry. If you're an attorney, you want a long type of blog post. So, 1,200 words, 1,500 words. That's a good size for an attorney. If you're a dentist, you're going to be somewhere around there as well. But for instance, if you're a hair salon, you can easily get away with a 6, 7, even 800 word article, blog post, and actually do quite well. So it's industry work, but what you definitely don't want is a 300 word article, is what I'm trying to get at. 3, 4, 500 words, you want to go beyond a little bit, the 500. So I hope that helps you at least focus on what length is. So in this instance, length does matter. Sometimes people say, oh, length doesn't matter, whatever, as long as you get picked up. Yeah, you just don't want to get picked up. You want to get picked up, and you want to stay there. It's kind of like you don't just want to get married, right? you want to get married and stay married. No one gets married and just to get divorced, right? So that's my point with this whole thing about the length. Okay. The number 7 thing is you want to link to other content. Here's what I mean by that. See, no one wants a know-it-all. It's there's some data out there that suggests if you only link back to your own information, then you come off as a know-it-all, and you start losing credibility at that point. Just from your reader standpoint. From a search engine standpoint, they want you to link to different sites because people will link to yours. And so it's a reciprocity type of deal with this. So that's from a search engine standpoint, but also from a reader standpoint, people see that, oh, okay, this guy is also referring content to another site that has a relevant topic about what he's talking about. So you want to link to other content. There's a strategy around that, and maybe some point I'll talk about that in another podcast. But you do want to do that. Number 8, you want to write a strong meta description. Now, what meta is? So each page on WordPress has a section where you can have a little description of what this page is on, right? So blogs are no different. So each blog has its own little meta description. So you want to write a strong meta description. What is it on? And you only have, I think it's 160 something characters to do it. So make sure it's purposeful, make sure it's clean, and you also want to make sure that the keyword is in there, the major keyword. If you can fit all 3, if you have 3 or 2, that's great, but it's not necessarily a must that you fit all 3. You don't have to, but definitely you want to have at least one, which will be your main keyword in that meta description, and just again make sure that it's strong, make sure that it's eye-catching, and this is just for the reader's standpoint. Now, the description itself, the content that's there. From the search engine perspective, you want to have the keyword there. That's why you want to have it there. But from a search engine perspective, that's the only thing that it worries about, the search engine, because the search engine is not really reading. It reads it sometimes. It's got some artificial intelligence that's getting better, but it's not really there yet. That's going to determine if your content's better than this other guys. So from a strong meta description standpoint, you want the reader to be drawn to it for whatever reason, because they will read that little blurb before they click on yours versus clicking on somebody else. Okay. And then from the search engine from the machine standpoint, you just want to make sure that the keyword is describable. That's it. Very simple. And number 9, last but not least, is you want to use a plugin that guides you on readability and SEO. And again, I'll have a link to my favorite plugin that's on WordPress. It's called Yoast SEO. It's an awesome plugin. I'll put a link to in the show notes. But in a nutshell, that's going to give you a little bit of an insight. It's going to tell you whether this is a readable content. It's not going to tell you if it's good or not. I mean, the content itself has to be good. I mean, you have to know people are looking for this information. So that's on you. But what it will tell you is if it doesn't read well. Are people going to be turned off because you have bad grammar and all that kind of stuff. And it's also going to tell you if you're positioned well from an SEO standpoint, and they're looking at it from a search engine perspective. The search engine, will the search engines pick this up, and will you stick because you're following all the rules? So there you have it, folks. Those are the 9 SEO strategies that you want to use on every blog post. These are on-page strategies, and before you publish them. So you got to check all those boxes, and with WordPress, it makes it extremely easy that you do this. so you don't have to worry. Again, I'm really hoping that you enjoyed this piece of content as much as I enjoyed giving it to you. I really, again, I enjoy these things at all times. If anyone has any questions about this content or any other content that I put out on this podcast, you know how to get a hold of me. I'll put the contact us link on the show notes as well, so you can reach out to us. And if anyone wants to be a guest on this podcast, I invite you guys to just reach out to me during that format as well. And that's about it for this episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. With that, until the next episode, make it a successful day. Take care and bye for now. Rock on, people.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. Don't forget, any links that were mentioned during the broadcast will be available to you in the show notes, so be sure to grab them while you have the chance. Incidentally, if you have any topics that you would like for us to discuss on the show, be sure to send an email to the email provided in the show notes, or click the Contact Us link and let us know what topic you would like us to help you with, and we'll be sure to add it to our schedule. If you would like for Frank and his team to look at your digital marketing presence and give you a free evaluation, simply click the Request a Free Consultation link in the show notes to get a hold of them. That being said, until our next episode, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.